Christopher, at the crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind? Or
well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing? I mean, you know, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there. 325,000 migrant children are missing. 325,000. Many of them are dead. Many of them are sex slaves and slaves of different nature.
Ah, nothing my kind savors more than the sweet, subtle flavors of an innocent soul. There was still so much innocence left in her. Delicious.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian, cold-blooded. We're different from the president. We're very discreet, reptilian, cold-blooded. Well, it's not really your turn. Yeah. When I ran, they said, Hillary Clinton was the best qualified person to run for president.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Was that your auntie? Oh, then that must mean that that's your uncle then, huh? Oh, you know y'all look alike.
And there are some people, well, they look like people, but, you know, and they act like people, sort of, but.
Yeah, you were I remember you weren't of this world to me. You were like I just had never seen anybody that looks like you or
I think I
talks
look
like
incredibly
you.
average.
Well, now you're Stephen Colbert. You're the king of late night now. But at the time, you were just this very, very weird-looking dude who, and you had this. You were like, hi, like you were a.
I was socialized. Is what you mean.
You were like a alien who studied human behavior and got close, but didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
And you looked like no people. Until that moment, I thought he was an alien who had come.
They like the idea of blood and war and death. They really dig that. Because it means, though, they're going to make another $100 or something.
So, are you suggesting they're not fully human?
I don't think they're human.
Wait a minute, I got the impression you like snakes. We do, we
know a couple, for sure.
You know? Yeah, right, I'm sure you do. Have you met them in the music business, is that it?
We have. We do live in Los Angeles, so snakes are everywhere.
It's
all sort of reptilians assuming human form.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Welcome to slavery.
Hey, I'm Miley Cyrus, and I'll be the musical guest and host this week on SNL.
Miley, that VMA's performance, how could you?
I know, how could I?
Miley, do you mind me asking why you're always sticking out your tongue?
It's how I smell.
That's how you smell, like a snake?
Yeah. Are you wearing women's deodorant?
No! Yes.
Calm down. Go! No!
Let's try this again.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
I don't know what the hell they are. They're all around us and nobody can see them but me. They're like these fucking disgusting, they're feeding on us. Do you understand?
Visitors are not our friends. They've come to rape our planet and kill us. They are not who they appear to be.
See this? It's the same thing on every channel.
We're different from the president. Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
Who in your book is a greater threat to American democracy, Elon Musk or Donald Trump?
Oh, Donald Trump, without any question. I mean, Elon Musk, strange. Donald Trump, very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian.
Well, it's not really your turn.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi sued me. She was always saying she's crazy as a bedbug, that one. She's nuts. She's a nut. These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. After Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom took charge of San Francisco, homelessness increased by over 200%. While Comrade Kamala Harris was Attorney General of this state, murders rose significantly. Car thefts went through the roof. Gun assaults rose at levels never seen before. Attorney General, she defined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as nonviolent crimes. She put that category as nonviolent. Now, as vice president, she's facilitated the largest wave of sex trafficking and human trafficking in history, the history of our country by far. And in case you don't want to write about it, which you should, because there can be no bigger scandal than this, we have, under this administration, 325,000 migrant children are missing. 325,000. In other words, take your biggest stadium in California and you could fill it up 5 or 6 times. Those are all missing children. Many of them are dead. Many of them are sex slaves and slaves of different nature.
I never thought I'd end up here, saying these things out loud to you. But you need to know what's really happening in D.C. The first time I witnessed it, I was just an intern, wide-eyed, thinking I was about to experience the world of politics and meet some of my heroes. But what I walked into that night was beyond anything I could have imagined. It was a party, or at least that's what they called it. The who's who of D.C. was there, dressed to the nines, laughing, drinking. But there was something wrong, something dark in the air. They led us to a room in the back. It was grand, opulent even, but the atmosphere was heavy, like everything in the room was soaked in blood. Then she walked in, the House Speaker at the time. She was smiling, but it wasn't a normal smile. It was a smile that animals would recognize in the wild, a predator's smile. I thought we were there to witness some important political deal. But when they brought in the child, I realized how wrong I was. The child was maybe 4, no older. They made her walk up to the speaker, who was now holding this ornate dagger, like something out of a nightmare. The room was silent, all those powerful people just watching, like this was normal, like this was expected. She started speaking in some strange language, something I couldn't understand. But it felt, I don't know, evil. The speaker's eyes were fixed on the child, and the lopsided smile never left her face. It was like she was possessed. Or maybe that's who she really was, underneath the political facade. And then, she just plunged the dagger into the child's chest. The scream, I'll never forget it. It was the most horrific sound. Pure terror and pain. It was like all of the air was sucked out of the room. But nobody did anything. They just watched, as if it were some kind of twisted entertainment. The blood pooled on the floor, and the speaker just stood there, letting it soak her hands and her dress, like it was a ritual she had performed many times before. When it was over, they cleaned up as if nothing had happened. They collected the blood in wine glasses. I hadn't even heard of adrenochrome at this point. That's how young and naive I was. The party continued, the laughter returned, and everyone just moved on. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what I just seen. But the others, the veterans in the room, they just looked at me like I was the crazy one for being shocked. I realized then that this wasn't a one-time thing. This is what they do. these so-called leaders. They believe in these rituals, in the power it gives them. And the former speaker, she's not just a participant, she's a leader in this cult. And it goes all the way to the top. I can't tell you more, not without putting myself at greater risk. But people need to understand that these aren't just stories. They're real, and they're happening in the heart of our government. These people aren't who they pretend to be. They're monsters, hiding in plain sight, and they won't stop until they get what they want. If anyone knew the full extent of what they're capable of, there would be a revolution tomorrow.
It's impossible. There's no way that a monster like this can exist. Not in the real world.
I'm not a poor baby, I'm more reptilian.
I know you didn't believe it before, but it's all true.
Great. Just great. Yeah, okay. Monsters, magic, this can't be real. Somebody must have slipped something into my drink. I'm hallucinating.
Get a grip, Johnny. Whatever this is, it's real.
Lost souls, mystic shields, demons. This is crazy. You people go about your lives like sleepwalkers. You have no idea what's out there. The darkness that's hovering on the periphery of your vision.
325,000 migrant children are missing. 325,000. Many of them are dead. Many of them are sex slaves and slaves of different nature.
The statement that a very large number of children go missing and are abused in sex slavery and regularly murdered points to widespread organized pedophilia murder networks, as a small number can be explained by individual perpetrators. But a large number of disappearances points to an organized approach with perpetrators in the very institutions that should be solving such cases, but instead enable them and cover them up. Trump's public announcement of this is something you don't hear from any other high-ranking politician, simply because many of them are involved or fear the consequences if they speak out. The satanic pedophile networks operate at the highest levels of politics, the media industry, business, the military, intelligence agencies, and all pillars of society. The scale is industrial. Organized pedophilia is basically a code word for satanic networks because pedophilia is not an abnormality or deviance of human sexuality. Its cause is not to be found in human biology or psychology. There is no such thing as a pedophilic human. By definition, pedophilia refers to sexual attraction to children, that is to young children aged 5 and within this age range. A so-called pedophile is a human host of a satanic reptilian entity. It is the reptilian entity that instills the sexual attraction to children in the host. And this is not primarily sexual in nature, that is secondary. It is primarily life energy parasitism. These entities are energy vampires, and children simply have the highest quantity and purest quality of life energy. Oral or anal intercourse allows direct access to the throat or root chakra, which enables the attached reptilian entity to drain the life force from the victim. It is also the entities that create the urge to murder and the desire to drink human blood.
Let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring.
throughout the production of this video. I was psychically attacked by reptilians until the room suddenly filled with intense satanic energy and a strong psychic will focused its attention on me. The eye of Sauron shines above us. They got so enraged that they shut down the internet in several blocks for a whole week. This is a first world country. They must have burned through a lot of wires, cables, and circuits and chips and whatnot to cause a week-long outage because repairs, which are very rare, usually take hours at most. This has never happened before. What followed was a week without internet, but with constant insidious plots and psychic attacks, one after the other. A few weeks before this incident, they shot a lightning bolt into the house, right on the spot where the internet cable runs, which first fried my network card and shortly thereafter destroyed the whole computer. Yes, they can shoot or direct lightning during thunderstorms, which they can also create artificially, and they can also shoot Sith lighting rays from their hands. This is not fiction. Electronic sabotage is something they're very notorious for. I've lost count of how many computer hardware, external drives, monitors, and entire computers of mine these entities have destroyed over the years. As mentioned at the beginning, pedophilia is a critical issue for them, a lifeline. Much like their parasitic human blood harvesting vampire industry that allows their Hellraiser bloodlines access to this dimension. Reptilians, blood, pedophilia, these are the three big ones in the realm of conspiracy research. Back to the topic. Trump does not refer to the child sex slave and murder industry explicitly as satanic networks, but by the chosen description and occult insight, we know that this is what is meant. Trump does in fact expose the satanic nature as well, but he can't be as direct about it, so he occasionally communicates it in between the lines with diplomatic speech.
Let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true?
On a national and global level, different rules apply compared to local and fringe groups. The statements made by politicians have an impact on the political landscape, the stock markets, social cohesion, and the mental stability of the population, as well as the geopolitical and exopolitical balance. Statements must be carefully considered. Politicians on the world stage cannot be as direct as investigators and writers with limited reach, but that does not mean that conspiratorially relevant issues cannot be addressed and communicated. They very well can and regularly are, but it is expressed in the language of diplomacy. And diplomatic statements, even when they are unambiguous and defy arbitrary interpretation, can be very subtle, which is why they go over the heads of most. Regardless of the fact that such statements are not consciously perceived by most, they still have an effect as they cause micro shifts on the overtone window, changing what can be talked about in public and thus changing the culture of discussion. Such statements introduce information into the collective consciousness. Diplomatic statements may be subtle, but it doesn't take a whole bottle of whiskey to get most people drunk. Even a small glass causes a certain change in consciousness. Some are used to hard liquor and a lot of it. Others are abstinent and are affected differently by small doses, and so it is with the truth. Some know a lot and are not easily additionally informed, while others have never heard of certain things, and for those to whom such information is revealed, it can have serious consequences as they begin a quest for the truth, which some pursue relentlessly and even become world-renowned personalities. First, an example of a diplomatic conspiracy speech.
And I got the chance to meet the people who are working so hard to get her elected. There they are, the heads of NBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. There's the New York Times right over there, and the Washington Post. They're working overtime. True.
Trump basically said that these newspapers are acting as biased political activists working together to support Hillary Clinton. Now, some might think, yeah, so the media is all corrupt. What's spectacular about that statement? It's common knowledge. You see it that way because reading this means you are a conspiracy researcher with advanced insight into the system and you perceive by those standards. But those are not the standards of the majority of the population, only those of a very few. Trump's statement is actually outrageous to the ears of the majority. Unlike you, they are still stuck in the illusion of an unbiased and fair media, independent professionals, free and fair elections, and the like. Trump practically called them a bunch of illegitimate, corrupt conspirators. And Trump isn't just some random guy, he was the leader of the free world. Whatever you think of that, the statements of a person like that carry a lot of weight. That's a great thing and a great service to the cause of awakening the majority of the population to the true nature of the system. But because most conspiracy researchers are jaded by focusing on much more serious issues, they don't rightly recognize it as such.
For example, here she is tonight in public, pretending not to hate Catholics.
Have you ever heard a politician or other public figure denounce a Satanist like Hillary Clinton in public like that? Most likely never. That's not an act. That's not a show. That's real antagonism.
Let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true?
First, let's make an educated guess about how figures like Obama and Harris would have reacted. We don't need to guess much because there are plenty of examples. For example, here's what Obama thinks about conspiracy theories in general.
With Joe and Kamala at the helm, you're not going to have to think about the crazy things they said every day. You'll be able to go about your lives knowing that the president is not going to retweet conspiracy theories about secret cabals running the world or that Navy SEALs didn't actually kill bin Laden. Think about that. The president of the United States retweeted that. Imagine.
Smirk, snickers, you can't be serious facial expressions. That makes the whole issue a laughingstock. We can also use artificial intelligence to design a likely answer he would give to that very question. That's exactly what we get from this guy, a bunch of denialist, deflective, dismissive lawyer blather, all the while smirking and chuckling and displaying dismissive body language, the usual deception of a charming, psychopathic, cold-blooded reptile. Now to Trump's response.
Disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard, but I know nothing about it.
They believe it is a satanic cult run by the deep
study
state.
The subject.
First to his body language. He didn't smirk, he didn't laugh, he didn't shake his head, he didn't make a dismissive gesture or facial expression. He remained serious. If it had been Obama or Harris, both would have started grinning and cackling before they even responded. We can be sure of that. For example, here we see Harris' body language and facial reaction to the true statement that some migrants catch pets like cats and geese to eat them. Indeed they do, as it is a common practice in various regions of the world.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Harris laughed hysterically, as if this was the most absurd thing she had ever heard, and she called it extreme. If this is how she reacts when it comes to migrants capturing pets to eat them, then we can be sure she would react similarly or even more dismissively if asked about satanic pedophiles in politics.
President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
Let me just tell you, what I do hear about it is they are very strongly against pedophilia, and I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that, and I agree with it very
But
strongly.
there's not a satanic pedophile
I have
cult
no
they run
idea.
by.
I know
You
nothing
don't
about
know that? Okay.
No, I don't know that.
You just
and
this
neither
week.
do you know that.
Okay.
I don't know about it. One, of course, he can't openly admit it's true. Such things cannot be admitted by one of the highest-ranking officials in the world. This would lead to extreme social and economic instability. 2, if he denies it is true or makes fun of it, he would be confirmed as a dark sider, like Obama. 3, his only option then is to say he doesn't know. He could also refuse to answer, but that would be perceived as highly suspicious and basically a form of confirmation that he knows it's true but can't talk about it. He can't, so saying he doesn't know is the only reasonable option. Not knowing something creates an incentive to find out, especially because the most powerful person in the country claims to know nothing. This can be a strong incentive to unravel the mystery. It also creates attention and curiosity for the topic. When people are told that something is unknown or mysterious, it often piques their curiosity and leads them to seek further information from unofficial or conspiratorial sources. This curiosity can lead to a forbidden fruit effect, where the secrecy or obscurity of the topic increases its appeal.
Just real quick, at the crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind?
Well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing? I mean, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there.
I'd like to help. This is an admission that there is indeed a problem. If there was no problem, then no help would be needed, and there would be no point in offering help. Again, this is diplomatic logic. His statement implies that help is needed, and therefore it is true that there is a satanic pedophile network. Now, is that a bad thing or a good thing? If I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do that. Again, he doesn't diss the question and recognizes the idea as legitimate.
Okay.
No, I don't know that.
This
neither
week.
do you know that.
Okay.
And neither would you. That was completely unnecessary to add, but he said it anyway. By doing so, he's effectively saying they exist. How would he know that she wouldn't know about them if they existed? Unless, since she doesn't know about them, they do exist, which proves she doesn't know about them. Again, subtle diplomatic logic. Again, while his statements seem like no big deal to most conspiracy fanatics, they are actually a very big deal. From the system's perspective, they are extremely damaging. Trump makes statements like this all the time, and has been for many years. He's a conspiracy theorist in the role of a diplomat. It's basically a sheepdog in a sheep's clothing.
I was just informed, while on the helicopter, that our president has finally released a birth certificate. I'd want to look at it, but I hope it's true. He should have done it a long time ago. Why he didn't do it when the Clintons asked for it, why he didn't do it when everybody else was asking for it, I don't know.
That was in 2011.
The Iraqis did not knock down. It was not Saddam Hussein that knocked down the World Trade Center. Okay,
that's just what you said was they lied. They said there were weapons of mass destruction, and there were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass.
Well, there are a lot of people that think that. There were a lot of people that think, look, bottom line, there were no weapons of mass destruction. They said there are weapons of mass destruction. I was against the war when it started.
Do you think the president of the United States, George W. Bush, lied?
Well, look,
to
I'm not going to
American
get you a vote,
people?
but that's okay. Let me
I'm just giving you another shot.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you very simply. It may have been the worst decision going into Iraq, may have been the worst decision anybody has made, any president has made in the history of this country. That's how bad it is, okay?
That was in 2015. There's more to come.